I bowled a game last year that was 1 point less than the world championship bowler's high score in when he won the championship tournament. Okay. I love the bowl. It puts me in a focused, nice mood. Like I have a good time at the lanes, right? I could be, if I practice, I don't even practice. I threw a game 1 point less than the world champion. And I don't even practice. If I went and started practicing every week, I could do that every time I bowled, and I could be the world championship bowler. I'm not even bragging. I'm telling you. I'll put at some point in a future podcast. I'll put my scoreboard. I took a picture of it, and you can compare that to the world champion that year. He threw a 265 to win the game, and I threw a 264. Okay, so the whole point is, if I really, really wanted to do that and make that make that my accomplishment, I could say, screw all this. I'm going to go and be a world champion bowler, and I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on bowling tournaments. Okay, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in being free. That's a game, man. That is a game, ladies and gentlemen. This is what people are more interested in, what their sports team in their city does, rather than whether their rights are being violated. This is how crazy of a society we have become. And then people say, oh, there's too much emotion in your voice. Yeah, because you're not supposed to be upset about being a slave. No. You're supposed to get upset when your team loses in your city. Oh, it's your team. We did good today. Yeah, we did? Really? Oh, you made the team, huh? Wow. Congratulations. That's impressive. I mean, this is how retarded human beings are in the 21st century. Really. This is how retarded they are. And that's your average person that calls himself a man. That imbecile calls himself a man. Dares to use the word in application to himself. You know, that's all I have to say.
Speaking of man, in your excellent talk regarding feminism and the satanic epi-eugenics agenda, you talk about the purpose of dividing man versus women, black versus white, but you say there's an extra significance with the gender divide because it is a 50-50. What is the purpose of dividing the genders?
The biggest cohesive glue in a society regarding morality and social cohesion in general is the bond between man and woman. And you only need to gauge or measure the healthiness of a society and the strength of the state, by the way, which is inversely proportional to the health of a society, by how well do men and women get along with each other within that society. Now think about what I just said there. The biggest social cohesive glue in all of society is the bond between man and woman. And the health of a society is gauged by how strong that bond is. And the health of the state is gauged by how weak that bond is. The power of the state is inversely proportional to the strength of that bond. Therefore, you automatically know the social engineers are going to want to drive a wedge between men and women. And all we have to do is look around. Look around. See, it's all scientifically observable. It has nothing to do with opinion. It has nothing to do with belief. It is observable. How powerful is the state? Then look at that's the effect. Okay? How much do men and women truly get along and love each other and respect each other in our society? Is it about mutual respect? Is it about getting along? Or is it about power over the other? Is it about wanting something from the other? Okay? And only seeing what you can get from the other, from the opposite sex. And this is what our society has totally devolved into because of the social engineers driving a wedge and forging a gender war between the sexes. And also, putting in the notions that there are like 60 some genders as well. Believe me, I'm friends with transgendered individuals and have no problem with their choice to do that. It's not about discrimination. But when you're starting to try to tell people biology has no bearing on what gender is, you're trying to redefine science. You're trying to redefine truth and reality. So, to go back to the notion that these social engineers know that the strength of the state hinges upon whether men and women are actually together exploring morality, are fostering true values, especially propagating true values to the young, like truth and freedom and morality. Okay. If that's not being done, you're having the state raise children. You're having constant division and warring between people in their own families and amongst their friends. And, nobody is going to be unifying together and fighting the state if they believe, there's a patriarchy and men are the enemy, or, all women have an evil nature and should be avoided and we shouldn't, interact with them. Because that's what there's a pushback. You have the feminists forming this idea of the patriarchy. You know how much loathing I get viewed with? I mean, I feel like I'm discriminated against walking down the street just because I'm a white, middle-aged, masculine man. Okay? It's as if somehow you're the enemy. I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting for rights. I'm fighting for what's right, for morality. And I'm somehow the enemy because of my gender. I see it every day. And guess what, Keith? It's hard. It is hard to be viewed like that and to not want to come with some kind of a blowback toward that other person, because you have to constantly just remind yourself they're just a fucking dunce. They're just so painfully dumb because of their social engineering. They're just so fucking dumb that you have to feel sorry for them. Instead of, see, I get into the notion of, I really start to hate people when they act like this. Okay, it's a battle for me every day not to fall into total 100% hatred. Okay, but then, and sometimes I don't accomplish it. Sometimes it gets to me, man. But it's like I have to go back and constantly remind myself they're just so stupid because of what they've been taught that's not true. They have a religion. We're not going to talk to them to try to properly re-educate them. We're just going to, say that they're fundamentally at their nature flawed and evil. And what's that going to do? Is that going to solve the problem? No, it's going to drive a further wedge between people. And this is what the social engineers want, And men can be said to be just as equally stupid and just as equally not educated because they don't understand the world of the occult. They don't understand social engineering. They don't understand hidden knowledge. They don't understand hidden psychology. They don't understand mind control. They think, they look at a picture, women are acting like this to me, so they must just be bad people. No, it's the condition that they've been worked into, just like men have been worked into a condition. And how I talked about this on another interview recently, and it's something that just sticks in my craw. How many guys who consider themselves men have been worked into such a fearful, just absolutely, I'm just going to say it, pussified condition, okay, of just being an absolute trash baby, that they are fearful of societal breakdown. I hear this all the time. Oh my God, Mark, Keith, if we didn't have government, society would break down. We'd have all of this violence and this. It's like, you already have violence. You already have a condition of chaos. It's called slavery. In other words, grown ass men are saying, at least physically grown ass men are saying, I'm so pussified that I would rather actually be enslaved and have a condition of slavery be in control of my life, rather than take the chance that some bad things might happen if we drop the ridiculous religion called government and stop believing in its existence, which is totally non-natural and does not actually exist. Authority does not exist in nature. Okay. But if we drop that religion, oh my God, there might be people who do some bad things and we'll have to deal with it. What kind of a man are you? You're just trash. You're just trash whose parents were trash. That's all somebody like that is. You're a fearful little piece of trash pussy whose parents were immoral trash, who didn't teach you the right values in life. That's what a man who thinks like that is. You're a coward. A coward. I can't say it any more plainly. You're just a coward. Can you imagine, Keith, I know you're a real man. Can you imagine being so afraid that you're like, oh my God, if this condition of total control and slavery isn't in place, oh, bad things, people are going to do bad things. I better get out there and become a cop because I have to control other people's behavior. I'm laying down to go to sleep at night, and all I'm thinking is, oh my God, if slavery doesn't continue in the world, what are people going to do to each other? Oh my God. Could you imagine being that big of a piece of fucking trash, Keith?
Well, it's also a great non sequitur to say that I'm afraid bad things will happen, therefore the state is legitimate. Like, if there is a state, the worst people will be attracted to it and will commit atrocities on a level that otherwise would not be able to exist. Ted Bundy compared to Mao Zedong.
That's it.
I mean, thank God Ted Bundy didn't run for office. Yeah. And I pray to God we end the state before more Kissingers get
the majority
get a hold.
For somebody like that. He was a good actor. You know what I mean? He was a good con man. That's all you need to be a good politician. He was just the psychopath that wasn't necessarily attracted to government where he could do the most harm. He just decided to actually bloody his hands himself because he had a little bit more balls than your average politician. You know? He took the chance by doing the act himself. But, you know, the people who are so afraid of chaos manifesting, so afraid, oh my God, without man's law, you might have people who are doing bad things to each other. Well, with man's law, you're having way more people doing bad things to each other. All right? People who think just because, they say, oh, they have bombs, guided missiles. Well, good, let them use them. That's what I say. You will prove what an immoral psychopath you are if you start bombing your own people with missiles and or tactical nuclear weapons. Who cares? Do you care more about being free and maintaining your rights, or do you care more about survival? See, this is perfect for this date. The people who waged the American Revolution were told the same thing. You can't do it. It can't be done. You'll never win. Okay? Many of them said, we don't care because we're not going to live as slaves. Living as a slave is much worse than dying. This is what the phrase liberty or death meant. I'm going to be free to have my freedom and exercise my rights, or I would rather die, or I would rather go out trying to secure those freedoms and rights, okay, by physically engaging those who are attempting to take them away. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. What matters is you said, you're in the wrong and we're not going to take it anymore, and we're going to stop you from engaging in these wrong behaviors. Regardless of how much physical force it may take to do it, and regardless of whether even we die in the process. That's what the men with balls that existed during the Revolutionary War era period said. We're not taking it. We're not your slaves, and we're going to fight you to the death if required. Now, the leadership after that totally failed. Okay, I don't place the founders or the people who, after they won the American Revolution, on some pedestal as gods, because they are not. They were men, and they were flawed, men and women who were flawed. Okay, and they made the mistake of setting up a new government because they weren't conscious enough. They weren't spiritually awake and aware enough. They were somewhat spiritually awake and aware, but not totally. Not to the extent that they needed to be to recognize government as slavery and to abolish it, not reinstitute new government. It needed to be abolished for all time. Then America would have been a beacon of true freedom. And we would have shown the rest of the world what a society that understands and lives within true freedom can produce and can accomplish. And it would have been wonderful. You want to talk about the torch of the freedom of liberty, of the Statue of Liberty, that would have been it. We would have lit that torch and burned it bright.